Hey guys, it's me Anjali and welcome to Anjali Reads. Today I have Kavan with me because we both have read this book together. Um, so he is going to tell like how we both read this book.
So Anjali and I were going back from Sialda to Barakpur, her home, in a train. So while we were on the train, I was looking outside the window and she was going through this book, and I was kind of bored. So I told her, why don't I join you in reading this book? So I joined her after the chapter 1 of this book.
Like I was not going through this book. I was actually past chapter 1 when he joined in.
So then I said, let me also chime in, and then I also started. And this is my first novel with reading with Anjali, and this is my first.
So actually, I was so skeptical because he never read a novel before. He is into self-help books and he recommended me a lot of self-help books. As maybe if you are following me, so I already uploaded a video which was on I Want to Eat. I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by Big Sehi, and that book was also recommended by Kavan. He has recommended a lot of self-help books, for instance, these three, and there is another one, 12 Rules, 12 Life. So I already read this one, and I will soon drop a review video on this book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray. I am I'm gonna read this one next, like after this, after Men Are From Mars. He is currently reading this book, and there is another one, Dopamine Detox. I'm yet to read this.
The one thing Anjali really needs is dopamine detox.
So, like, he has already read this book, so what this book is about?
Yeah, so this book is actually about dopamine detox and how you get control of your life. This book essentially says that how you are hooked to the modern day objects like mobile phone, YouTube, movies, and a lot of other things that distract you from doing things that you should do, and then end of the day you go to sleep with a lot of anxiety and guilt that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. This book gives you a way of detoxing your brain from a lot of dopamine, similar to like we do detox from various kind of foods. We stop eating sugar, we stop eating fatty foods, oily foods. The same way we also kind of stop doing things that give us a lot of dopamine, like watching movies, going through Instagram reels, and a lot of distracting things like social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, etc.
So, I'm yet to read 3 self-help books. Of course, I will read them. Don't worry.
So unlike Anjali, I have a big portfolio in the self-help book. I have read this. So one of my first self-help books, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Then I have read Psychology of Money. Then it is Deep Work. This, and then Time Management, of course. Then this, since I am in legal fraternity, so I also read How Board Works. Then this one is one book that everyone should read. Is 10 Skills for Effective Business Communication.
He actually gave me this book and I didn't even...
She didn't read it at all. Then this is also one of the books that my tuition teacher recommended. This is one of the book that I read in 8th standard. This is You Can Win by Shiv Khera. I still kept this book. Then this is of course Corporate Chanakya. This one is also a really good read if you are into corporate world. And this one is One Up the Wall Street. This is if you are interested in stock market. This book will really help you. Yeah, so that's about it. I also recommended her to read 10 Rules of Life by Jordan Peters. So that's that.
Let's get back to the topic. I have read the former book by Madeline Miller, The Song of Achilles, and I also dropped a review video before. Check that out. In this book, CIRCE, the writer tried to incorporate the story of Achilles and how he fought in the Battle of Troy, and she also tried to incorporate the story of CIRCE with it, like with the Battle of Troy, है ना?
Yes.
And we also checked the authenticity of the characters with the Greek mythology, and we found out that Madeline actually omitted a few characters, but she didn't manipulate the whole story.
Yeah, so we were kind of very intrigued by the whole story of Circe and how the author has tried to depict the wrote a whole novel on a particular character named Circe, who was a demigod, so to say. Let me say it.
She was a nymph.
Huh. So Circe was a nymph, and so we were quite surprised, and I particularly, who was reading this novel for the first time, was amazed by the fact that all of the characters that were mentioned have found their source in the Greek mythology, and it kind of was a journey into the Greek mythology from the perspective of Circe, which is quite interesting to read.
Circe was a nymph and a witch as well. She was a daughter of Helios, the sun god or god of sun, whatever, and Perseus. Perseus was her brother, Percy. Percy. She was a nymph as well.
So nymphs are basically demigods, lower rank gods who are not so powerful. For example, Helios and Zeus are gods. Basically, Helios is sun god. So in Indian mythology, we have Surya Dev. Of the same stature, we have Helios, who is as powerful as sun. But whereas nymphs are demigods who are feminine, who are female characters. But this nymphs,
They are less. They are less than a god.
they are less than
Like they
gods.
are immortals, but not powerful like a god.
Exactly.
And they are always ridiculed and like for being like lower in hierarchy.
Exactly. So, so Circe, along with her siblings, Attis and Pasiphae, were all into witchcrafts, and this is where the whole story of Circe revolves around, which is witch. Witchcraft is a very heavy word to say, but when you read the book, you will actually find that witchcraft is not so bad here. You will always be, from your childhood stories, you will always be told to be stay away from witch and witchcraft.
That's
How?
what the writer wanted to convey, that in our society witchcraft is always considered to be negative.
Exactly.
That's what she wanted to convey, that it's not negative. It was a powerful, like sorcery.
Yes. One funny story was also about Pasiphae, who was Circe's sister. She married to a human king, King Minos. So the thing is that in the hall of Oceanos, where all the gods live, there is Helios at the center, and then there are all the nymphs and gods are there. So nymphs, a lot of nymphs also choose to marry humans who are living down on the earth. So they choose powerful humans like kings who have big kingdoms. So Pasiphae chose to marry King Minos, and Minos and
Like
Pas-
Minos was a like immortal son of Zeus.
yes, was he?
Hmm.
Okay, so later on the
Sorry,
story.
not immortal. He was a mortal son of Zeus.
Okay, so he
Actually,
was a
sorry,
mortal
sorry.
son of Zeus. At the end of the day, humans are mortal and gods are
Hmm.
immortal. So the
Hmm.
concept is wherein immortal gods marries a mortal human.
You were right. Actually, he was a human,
Yes.
and like he was a mortal son of Zeus, not
Yeah.
immortal.
So the funny story, if you go through the road, go through this book, I won't spoil it for you. But the story is really funny how Pasiphae conceives
Minotaur.
Minotaur, who is her child. And if you read from the start of this book, Circe was kind of lonely in the sense that she was always being ridiculed in the hall of Oceanos, where every one of her relatives lived, her uncles and her father, and nobody used to give her the attention that she actually wanted. Not attention, but respect that she actually wanted. Even her siblings Pasiphae and Attis used to mock her for her voice, right?
Voice and mortal tongue. Even Homer in Odyssey, or maybe in another poem, uh, he has like described Circe, quote, a dreadful goddess with lovely hair and human speech, end quote.
Exactly. So, in this story, gods used to mock other gods for having human qualities, and that's how Circe was being ridiculed by Pasiphae. But later on, when you read the story, you'll find out that how Pasiphae had to put down her ego and call Circe for her delivery, because she is into witchcraft and her expertise is of so much respect and is so famous that Pasiphae had to put down her ego and call Circe for her help during her labor.
That's what makes Circe different from other gods, because she used to embrace humans like
Exactly.
more than the gods, because she never got the respect from her own kind, है ना?
Yes.
This book also shows that how a society treats a woman who lives all by herself. Like the way she protected herself from men who tried to molest her is really noteworthy.
So, going through this novel, this story is a lot about transformation of Circe, who is a demigod, who is a god, so to say, an immortal, from
Like she was a shallow character at the beginning of the book, and how she gained the power, and how she, it was more of a women empowerment, right?
exactly.
Huh?
So, adding to woman empowerment, this book was more about her transformation from being a god to a man. But this is not something to be taken as from high to low. It is more to be taken as from a lower position to a higher position. As in, transformation into human means something more than being a god.
Like you were just saying that we always get to see stories where the protagonist actually transforms from from the lower hierarchy to the higher
Exactly.
hierarchy.
Transformation is from a man to a god. In a lot of religious philosophies, also you find how a human should spiritually transform itself from human to a spiritual entity, which is God. But here in this story, you will see that a spiritual entity is more of transforming itself to human.
And the story has also embraced the flaws of a human, like Circe was a god and she was not aging. So like when she just wanted to age like a human, right?
Exactly. So there is also one movie which one can relate to, which is Age of Adeline. In this movie, also the character who is the main character does not age for 100 years, and she is at the same age, that is 26. And the problem that she faces is that once you do not age, the problem is that your loved ones will age, and that means that everyone that you love will have to die someday for you to be left alone. So that was one of the primary problem that she had while she was on earth.
And like this book also shows different shades of a womanhood. Like she was portrayed as as an obedient daughter, and a lover, and a
Mother,
a
mother,
mother, and what,
a
a friend
sister, a
and
friend,
foe,
a
and a good
sister.
sister.
Exactly.
And like the extent she went to protect his son is breathtaking, right? when
Yes.
when I was reading the particular stanza where she was actually going like bonkers, right? Going bonkers,
Yes.
like to save his to save her son. What, like I was literally getting goosebumps at that time.
Exactly. Yes. So there are very few moments in this novel where you will find goosebumps, and those are the breathtaking moments where you will get on your toes and just keep on reading it. This whole novel was a very engaging experience for me. Uh, Anjali will tell her opinion about how she felt about this novel, but as far as the last paragraph of this novel goes, I was literally like I had a lot of goosebumps while reading the last stanza, and also I was like, boss, what is happening? What just happened?
We were just dumbstruck.
I was just dumbstruck while reading the last stanza of this novel. So every story you must have, there is a classic plot wherein at the end of the story you will get to know, okay, this is something surprising that happened. So that was a part of the CIRCE novel. And
Like we were thinking something else, you know, the thing that she did with Glaucus, and it was unexpected. The
Exactly.
ending.
so the book started with what she did with a character called Glaucus, which was a childish like behavior. But when the book was supposed to end, she was again going to do something with the another character who was similar to Glaucus. But
Mm.
I think you should read the book yourself to find out what was there in the last.
Uh, Now coming to the writing style, I didn't find the writing style very unique because I have read a lot of books uh, with better writing style. Uh, I don't know about him because it was his first novel, so he will tell if.
So for me, the writing style was really good because this was my first novel, and Anjali used to tell me. I used to ask Anjali that why are you always into the books, into the books? Why don't you just travel
Into
out
the novels, especially
into the
not
novels?
books.
So she used to tell me that, and she used to quote Jackson. She used to quote Michael Jackson, her favorite singer, that books are
Like if you want to travel and you are penniless, you should read books.
yeah, so basically you can travel the world by reading the books.
Hmm.
So this was an experience for me. So this was the same experience for me while reading the CIRCE. It was as if I was with the gods in the hall. I was with the mortals in on the earth. I was with ancient kingdoms of the Greek mythology. It was like I was literally, I and Anjali were there in that kingdom, and we saw how certain things of the mythology in the past happened.
You know what? We didn't read the book separately. We used to read book. You know, like we used to recite each and every chapter alternatively. So that's how we read the book, not separately. That's why, you know, like he felt that we both were in the hall of Oceanos or inside the book. Right.
Exactly.
Are you gonna recommend this book to someone or not?
Definitely, if somebody is like me who is going to start reading novels, then I will definitely recommend reading CIRCE. But there is one catch, that you should also have an avid novel reader like Anjali with you to read CIRCE. Otherwise, you will get bored in between, and you need an initial push to start reading a novel.
Cersei, the writer has stretched certain areas which was totally unnecessary, right? So that's why, you know, like while reading, I used to get bored, and you know, like I was losing my grip over the story, but still, like overall the story was nice. The story was good because I am already interested in Greek mythology. So I would recommend this book as well as the Song of Achilles to those who are actually interested in mythology, because otherwise you like won't like this book at all. So I'm gonna rate 6 because of the unnecessary parts. I'm reducing 4. Sorry, 6 on 10. 6 on 10. I'm reducing 4 because of the unnecessary parts. I think those areas were unnecessary. You know, like like she elaborated, you know, like a minute detail so much, right? Because of that, I was losing the grip. That's why.
But I agree with Anjali, where there were parts in the book where it kind of stretched the story, so we were kind of losing the grip in between. But end of the day, I would rate it like 7 on 10 because of the fact that this was my first novel, and also that I really liked the writing style. And third was that even though story was bit long, the message that it delivered was actually really really interesting, that how gods who are supposed to have great values, so to say, did not have that much moral values, and you have to fear the wrath of gods, whereas humans were given a greater quality, humans, the mortals, who had greater sense of morality while they were only supposed to live like 50-60 years, which is kind of 2-3 seconds for the life of gods.
So thank you, Kavan. I know you will read a lot of books in the future, especially novels. Please don't, constrict yourself to only the self-help books, right? Read as much as novels you can. And so meet you in our next video. Bye bye.
Bye bye.